Ladies and gentlemen, I want to ask you something. What if the key to your breakthrough is locked in the very thing you've been trying to avoid? What if the peace you're searching for isn't somewhere in the future, but in making peace with your past? You see, too many of us have spent our lives running from hurt, pain, rejection, and failure. We've buried the scars, stuffed the emotions, and yet wonder why we're still feeling lost, stuck, and ineffective. But today I want to challenge you to face the very thing you thought you could never reconcile. Because until you make peace with your past, you cannot step into the fullness of your future. What if I told you that the suffering you've endured wasn't in vain, that God doesn't let pain go unaccounted for, and that, in fact, He allowed it to shape you, season you, and refine you for this very moment? Yes, it's time for you to reckon with what you thought you lost and start winning with what you've been given. The power to move forward, to be effective in your present and future, is tied to your ability to make peace with your past. So let's talk about how to do that today. The power of peace is not about escaping the past or ignoring the hurts and challenges that have shaped us. It's about facing those moments head on and allowing them to transform us rather than define us. True peace doesn't come from a place of avoidance. It arises when we choose to confront what has been, accepting that the past is part of our story, but not all of it. Making peace with your past means coming to terms with the fact that the things that happened, however painful or unfair, have played a significant role in shaping who you are today. It's not about pretending the pain didn't exist or pretending you weren't hurt. It's about acknowledging it, feeling it, and then deciding to move beyond it. When we avoid our past, we allow it to control us, keeping us trapped in cycles of regret, resentment, and even fear. But peace is something deeper. It's a decision to stop fighting with the past and start making it work for us. By facing our hurt and truly processing it, we begin to heal. We don't just heal our bodies or our minds, but our spirits. The act of making peace with our past is an act of freedom, a choice to let go of the hold that negative experiences, mistakes, or trauma have over us. A lot of people think peace is about forgetting the past, but peace isn't the absence of memories, it's the absence of emotional turmoil connected to those memories. It's when you can think about the challenges you faced without it pulling you back into despair or anger. True peace comes when you recognize that those moments didn't happen to defeat you, but to develop you. When you make peace with the past, you give yourself the power to use what happened as a tool for growth, not as a weight to hold you down. In fact, peace with the past is the foundation for peace in the present. You can't stand fully in today if you're still running from yesterday. You'll find that the more you make peace with the past, the more you are able to enjoy the present. You can't move forward into the fullness of life, the fullness of joy, or the fullness of success if you're constantly looking backward. And more importantly, when you make peace with your past, you'll stop giving it the power to dictate your future. You realize that you are not your mistakes, you are not your failures, and you are not your hurts. Your past is a chapter in your story, but it doesn't have to define the book. Making peace with your past doesn't mean you've forgotten the hurt, it means you've learned from it. It means you've chosen to take the wisdom from your experiences, no matter how painful, and use it to fuel your growth. When you make peace, you unlock a power within you to live fully in the present and move forward with a sense of purpose and peace that transcends the past. This peace isn't passive, it's active. It's a peace that allows you to look forward with anticipation, knowing that no matter what has happened, you are in control of your story. The real power of peace is that it changes your perspective on everything. Once you make peace with your past, you can look at it not as something to regret, but as a source of strength. Every scar, every wound, every loss becomes a part of your strength, a part of your testimony. Peace with your past gives you the freedom to move into the future with confidence and hope, knowing that what you have gone through has prepared you for everything that lies ahead. Suffering is something that none of us seek, yet it is a reality that we all face in one form or another. Pain, loss, disappointment, these are universal experiences. But here's the truth. Your seasoning, the refinement of your character, will not come without suffering. In fact, it is often in the midst of suffering that we are shaped, tested, and prepared for what lies ahead. If everything were easy, if there were no challenges, how would we ever know our true strength? How would we learn resilience, patience, compassion, or perseverance? The Bible reminds us that the testing of your faith produces perseverance, James 1:3. This verse tells us something powerful. Pain has purpose. The trials we go through are not just random misfortunes or punishments. They are necessary parts of our spiritual, emotional, and mental growth. If God allowed the suffering, it means that there is something in it for you. It might not be clear in the moment and may feel impossible to see how anything good can come from your pain, but the process of being tested, stretched, and broken is not in vain. God doesn't waste a hurt. Many times we want to avoid suffering or make it go away quickly. But if we look closer, we realize that the moments of affliction often yield the most significant growth. It's during these seasons that we are forced to look inside ourselves, confront our weaknesses, and make decisions that lead us to greater strength. Without affliction, there would be no opportunity to see the depth of our faith, the power of our perseverance, and the extent to which we can trust God. It's easy to want to escape from pain, but the truth is, if we don't go through the fire, we cannot come out as refined gold. In the refining process, impurities are burned away, and what is left is something stronger, purer, and more valuable. It's not a comfortable process, but it's necessary. Just as gold is heated to extreme temperatures to purify it, so too are we tested through trials. The fire may burn, but it is also the very thing that prepares us for the future. Sometimes we may wonder why we had to go through certain things, why certain doors closed, why certain people walked away, why we faced betrayal, loss, or failure. The truth is, those seasons of hurt and pain were not there to break you, but to mold you into the person you were always meant to be. They were not meant to destroy you, but to build something in you that would make you ready for the next level. Your suffering is shaping your character, strengthening your faith, and teaching you lessons that will equip you for greater things in the future. When we embrace suffering as part of the process, we stop resisting and start growing. We begin to see that affliction is not just something to endure, but something to learn from. We start to understand that every trial is an opportunity for God to do something greater in us. As painful as the journey may be, it is leading us somewhere better. It is through suffering that we are prepared for the blessings, the victories, and the successes that lie ahead. Ultimately, suffering is not a sign of abandonment or defeat, but an invitation to transformation. It is an invitation to lean into God's strength, to develop resilience, and to trust that the suffering you are experiencing has purpose. When you walk through the fire and come out stronger on the other side, you'll realize that the pain you endured was not wasted. It was the seasoning that made you who you are today and that has prepared you for the greatness that is yet to come. Affliction, in all its forms, can often feel like an unwelcome burden. When we are going through hardship, it's easy to focus solely on the pain, the loss, and the struggle. But what if I told you that within every affliction lies the potential for growth? Every challenge, every difficulty, every painful season has a lesson hidden within it if we are willing to learn. Affliction is not simply a force that seeks to destroy us. It is, if we allow it, a tool for our development. The key to unlocking the lesson in affliction lies in our perspective. When we view suffering as senseless or unjust, it becomes a weight that pulls us down, trapping us in despair. But when we choose to see affliction as an opportunity for learning, it transforms. The pain becomes a teacher, and in its classroom we learn valuable lessons about ourselves, our character, and our relationship with God. This shift in perspective is what separates those who remain stuck in their pain from those who emerge stronger, wiser, and better prepared for what lies ahead. One of the most profound lessons affliction teaches us is resilience. When we are knocked down, when life doesn't go as planned, it's easy to want to give up. But affliction forces us to rise again, to get back up when we feel like staying down. Each time we push through hardship, we build resilience. It's not that we don't feel the weight of the struggle. It's that we choose to move forward in spite of it. This resilience becomes a part of who we are, and as we continue to endure, we begin to see the depth of our strength. What once seemed insurmountable becomes just another step in the process of becoming the person we are meant to be. Affliction also teaches us empathy. When we've suffered, we are able to relate to the suffering of others in a way that we couldn't before. Pain opens our hearts, softens our judgments, and sharpens our ability to listen. We become more compassionate, more understanding, and more willing to help those in need because we understand what it means to struggle. Our affliction, in a sense, becomes the bridge to others' healing. It's through the lessons of pain that we are able to connect more deeply with the people around us, offering them a hand of comfort and encouragement because we walked that road ourselves. And let's not forget the lesson of faith. When everything seems to be falling apart, when the weight of the world is pressing down on us, it's easy to question God's presence, His goodness, and His plan. But affliction is often the moment our faith is tested the most. It is in the darkest times that we find out whether our faith is truly rooted in God's promises or just in our circumstances. Affliction challenges us to trust in His sovereignty, to believe that He is still in control, even when it feels like everything is out of our hands. Through our suffering, our faith grows deeper, and we come to understand that God can use even the hardest moments for our good and His glory. The greatest gift that affliction offers is the opportunity for transformation. It doesn't just change us on the surface, it has the power to change the very core of who we are. When we allow affliction to work in us, it molds our character, strengthens our faith, and sharpens our resolve. The lessons we learn in these hard seasons are the ones that stay with us forever. They become part of the foundation on which we build our future. So the next time you face affliction, instead of seeing it as something to fear or resist, embrace it as an opportunity to learn. What can this season teach you? What can it reveal about your strength, your resilience, and your faith? These lessons, once learned, will stay with you long after the storm has passed, equipping you for everything that lies ahead. The choice between bitterness and betterment is one of the most profound decisions we can make in the wake of our trials. When faced with hardship, it's natural to feel anger, frustration, and resentment, especially when we've been wronged or hurt deeply. However, the way we respond to these feelings will determine whether we emerge from the experience stronger or more broken. Life doesn't always give us control over what happens to us, but it always gives us control over how we respond. It's in that response that the power lies. Bitterness is a heavy burden to carry. It starts as a small seed, perhaps a comment, a betrayal or a disappointment, and if nurtured, it grows into something toxic. Bitterness takes root in our hearts when we dwell on the hurt, replay the offense over and over, and refuse to let go of the past. It distorts our perception, making us see the world through a lens of cynicism and distrust. What was meant to be a momentary pain becomes a lifetime of resentment, poisoning our relationships and holding us back from experiencing peace. Bitterness clouds our ability to move forward. It keeps us shackled to the past, making it impossible to embrace the present or anticipate the future with hope. But betterment, on the other hand, is a conscious choice to let go of the past and to use it as fuel for growth. It's not about denying the pain or pretending that it didn't matter. It's about acknowledging the hurt and deciding to rise above it. To choose betterment is to take responsibility for your own healing. It means recognizing that while you cannot change what happened, you have the power to control how you allow it to shape you. Instead of allowing hurt to define you, you use it as an opportunity to become a stronger, wiser, and more compassionate person. Betterment means looking at the situation from a different perspective and asking yourself, what can I learn from this? How can this experience refine me? Even in the deepest of wounds, there are lessons to be learned. The choice between bitterness and betterment is ultimately a decision to reclaim your power. When we hold on to bitterness, we allow the person or situation that hurt us to continue to control us. But when we choose betterment, we take back the reins of our own story. We refuse to let the past define us, and instead we use our experiences to fuel our growth and propel us forward. Betterment is not about forgetting the past, it's about transcending it. It's about turning your strengths and your wounds into wisdom. In choosing betterment, we also choose forgiveness. Forgiveness isn't about excusing the wrong that was done to us. It's about freeing ourselves from the weight of anger and resentment that only harms us in the end. Forgiveness allows us to heal and to move forward, unburdened by the past. It's one of the most powerful tools for transformation because it allows us to release the hold that past hurt has over us. When we forgive, we free ourselves from the chains of bitterness and make space for better things to grow in our lives. Betterment also opens the door to a deeper sense of empathy. When we choose to learn from our pain, we become more compassionate toward others who are suffering. Our own healing journey allows us to walk alongside others in theirs. We understand their struggles because we've been there ourselves. We are able to offer hope and encourage because we know that healing is possible, even in the most painful circumstances. When we choose to become better, we don't just improve ourselves, we improve our ability to serve and to love others. The journey from bitterness to betterment is not always easy. It takes time, effort, and willingness to confront the pain instead of running from it. But when we make the choice to become better, we unlock a strength that is far greater than anything bitterness could ever offer. In the end, betterment is a decision to take the pain and turn it into purpose, to use what we've been through to fuel the person we are becoming. And that is the true power of choosing better over bitter. The past has a way of lingering, pulling us back into memories, regrets, and what ifs. It's easy to get stuck there, constantly replaying the things we wish we could change or the opportunities we think we've missed. But if we don't make peace with our past, it will never allow us to stand fully in our present or embrace the future with open arms. The weight of unaddressed hurt, disappointment, or guilt can drag us down and cloud our vision of what's ahead. In order to move forward, we must learn to reckon with what has been, because only then can we step into the fullness of what is to come. Making peace with the past isn't about pretending it didn't happen or ignoring the pain. It's about choosing to let go of the hold that the past has over us. It's about acknowledging that we can't change what happened, but deciding that we will not let it control the direction of our lives. You see, the past doesn't have to be a chain that keeps us locked in place. It doesn't have to define our identity, our value, or our potential. It's not what happened to us that matters. It's what we do with what happened. Our response to past determines whether we stay stuck or move forward. When we refuse to make peace with the past, we remain tethered to old wounds, old patterns, and old mindsets that keep us from experiencing the fullness of life. There's an old saying, you can't drive forward while looking in the rearview mirror. If you continue to focus on what was, you will miss what is and what could be. The future is waiting for you, full of opportunity, growth, and transformation, but you cannot fully step into it until you have let go of the past. Making peace with your past is not a one-time event. It is an ongoing process of choosing to let go of the things that hold you back. It might mean forgiving others or forgiving yourself. It might mean accepting that things didn't turn out the way you wanted, but choosing to trust that God has a plan that is greater than what you could have imagined. It means acknowledging your mistakes, learning from them, and moving forward with a renewed sense of purpose. When we reckon with the past, we begin to see that the things we thought we lost were never truly lost at all. There are lessons, growth, and even blessings wrapped up in every experience, whether good or bad. It's often in our darkest moments that we discover the greatest strengths within ourselves. The pain we endured has shaped us, but it doesn't have to hold us back. If we look at our past with fresh eyes, we can begin to see it as part of the greater tapestry of our lives, each thread, no matter how painful, contributing to the masterpiece that God is creating. The truth is, what you have now is enough. You might not be where you thought you would be, or things may not look the way you envisioned, but you have exactly what you need to move forward. The experiences you've had, the lessons you've learned, and the strength you've gained are all part of what has prepared you for the future. The present moment, with all its challenges and opportunities, is the perfect starting point for the next chapter of your life. But in order to embrace it fully, you must make peace with your past. Once you do, you will find that the chains that once held you back will have been broken. You'll be free to step into your future with confidence, knowing that you are no longer bound by what you cannot change. Making peace with your past is the key to unlocking your full potential and walking into the future God has designed for you. The journey ahead is waiting for you, and it starts now, in this moment when you choose to reckon with what has been and start winning with what you've been given. The power of peace is not in avoiding the difficulties of life or pretending that pain never existed. True peace comes when we recognize that the past, with all its struggles and challenges, has purpose. Without peace with our past, we remain stuck, carrying the weight of old wounds and memories that cloud our ability to move forward. It's not just about surviving what we've been through. It's about learning to live in peace with it, accepting it, and allowing it to propel us into the future. Because the reality is, what you have right now is enough. You have everything you need to move forward, to thrive, and to succeed. It may not look the way you imagined, and it may not be perfect, but it is enough. When we fail to make peace with our past, we rob ourselves of the present. We are so focused on what was that we can't fully engage with what is. The constant mental and emotional battle with the past drains our energy and distracts us from the opportunities before us. You can't stand fully in your present or step confidently into your future if you are continually looking back. The things you thought you lost in the past, opportunities, relationships, dreams, have shaped who you are, but they don't have to control where you go. Your past might have been filled with pain, but it doesn't have to be a prison that holds you captive. Part of the healing process is accepting that some things are beyond our control, and some things, no matter how much we wish we could, cannot be undone. But peace comes when we stop trying to rewrite history and instead start living in the reality of what we have now. You are not defined by your past mistakes or your past failures. You are not bound by the hurt you experienced or the things that didn't go the way you planned. You are defined by how you choose to respond to those things, and your ability to rise above them is what will shape your future. The key to moving forward is to reckon with what you thought you lost and start using what you've been given. Every experience, every moment, whether joyful or painful, has equipped you with something valuable. You might not see it right away, but there are lessons, strength, and wisdom buried in the past that are waiting to be uncovered. When you can let go of what you thought was missing and begin to recognize what you've been given, you will find that you have everything you need to move forward into the future God has prepared for you. You don't need to be perfect to move forward. You don't need everything to fall into place before you can take the next step. What you have now is enough. It is enough to build on, enough to grow with, enough to move forward in faith. The future doesn't depend on what you've lost, but on what you're willing to do with what you have. The strength you need is already inside you. The wisdom you need has already been built into your journey. It's time to stop waiting for everything to align and start walking in what you have right now. Making peace with your past is not about erasing it, it's about finding freedom in it. Once you make peace with your past, it no longer has the power to hold you back. It becomes a foundation upon which you can build a lesson to learn from and a strength to draw upon. The future is calling you, and it's time to stop looking behind and start looking ahead. What you have now is enough, and it's all you need to move forward into the life you are meant to live.